Hello. So about a year ago, I started on my solo game dev project called Ancient Worlds, where the player explores the RPG game in a huge planet-type world and face boss fights, kind of like Minecraft.
Yo, future me here. I just want to say a little statement before we get started. Now, alright, hear me out, bro. Just for the sake of game views, I'll say it how it is, just for once. It's kind of like a One Piece game. There, I said it. It'll have bigger and more diverse seas, and it'll be bigger and better than Rail Seas. But with the jokes aside, I'm gonna try to make my game similar to Rail Seas with its functionality and its exploration, with its character movements and how certain skills work in the game. So let's not take up more time and let's resume where we left off in the video. So during the couple months I had free time to reflect on my life's choices while watching the glorious sceneries of nature, I eventually become demotivated.
And so it died before I even got to release it.
I'm pretty sure it has passed the time to return and take my revenge.
But we're getting a little too hasty here. First, we need to research a bit and know exactly what I'm getting myself into. Sorry, I might sound a little sick because I am sick. But besides that, this is what I want. Just a big circular spherical world without any walls or boundaries. In theory, this should be easy, right? So, does this mean that we're already done? No need to make it again since Sebastian League already made it for us. So let's just wrap it up, end the video. Womp womp, that's the part where you got it wrong. I want to make it in Roblox, available for all platforms, not just in Unity or Unreal Engine, mainly for PC players. Now, how about we take a look at our comparators, shall we?
Look at this dude.
Jeez, bro, they don't even try. Like, bro, how can you get that bad? Oh god. Bro, I guess you can say we have no comparators at this point. Yeah. But there is this one game that I'd like to show you guys a bit later that does something similar to what I'm trying to approach. But before we get started, we have to make the base plate. Because you can't have a game without having a game. Yo, now that I'm reviewing this footage, I promise I'll stop with those cringy laughs. Psych, bro, they call me big ass out in these streets, bro. I rule these streets, I do what I want.
I just need to log into a mainframe and use their scientific algorithms and...
We are in.
And this is the game that I'm trying to create, but it's a bit worse. What I'm trying to create is a Starfield/Star Citizen type of game, and I hope to God I could create something good out of it that these little kids that always play block fruits all day too think that this game is actually enjoyable because like at least 1 billion of them play block fruits. I don't get it, bro, but it's your hobby, I guess. In this game that I'm demonstrating, what it does is create an icosphere using a feature in Blender 3D called decimating to eventually try and generate something that's like a planet. I'm doing those sarcastic finger gesture thingies in the background even though you don't see it to try and be cool like the rest of you guys. Ah, my life's depressing. Save me, please. And what it essentially does is basically makes the model low poly. Since in the studio, you can't even use high poly models. My way, well, the way I'm going about doing this is instead of using a model from Blender, I'll create an icosphere using code and implementing the golden ratio algorithm to generate the points that the terrain will be generated on top of. So without further ado, let's get done with the chit chat and let's get into the video. Since the script is really long, I like to just break it up into small little pieces because it's about 1,000 lines of code for like all the noise, different values and everything. So I'll start from the beginning. Well, to start off, to give you like the most briefest explanation ever so that your small tiny brains can comprehend the level of math that I'm trying to explain here. So what this script essentially does, or is trying to do in my case, is create like a whole grid size map, like I think 20 by 20 or something like that, or 10 by 10, I forgot which ones, but it creates like a whole grid size map on the X and Y axis and then edit the vertices of them to transform the edible mesh into a square shape, because on default it's usually a triangle shape thing per chunk. So I'm trying to make certain chunks squared shape so I can make the terrain that size. Man, I don't even know why I became a YouTuber, bro. Trying to explain this is so hard. Oh god. But that's basically like the briefest explanation I can give you without getting to the detailed complex parts. By the way, the edible meshes don't have any collision systems whatsoever. So your player can't even walk on top of it. I'm just gonna say it like that. If you want to use edible mesh system, you're gonna have to create your own collision system so that your player can collide with the terrain and all that stuff. And you're gonna have to edit the whole system for it to spawn on the player side. By the way, as I mentioned before, I'll try to create my own complex ocean system, because using triangles and manipulating the sine waves and bring in Gershner waves with not with edible meshes, with triangles and all that, is just way too laggy on the client side. So using edible meshes are much more optimized and much more smoother. I've seen other people use Blender default meshes from Blender and then importing that into Roblox Studio. That works, but the type of game I'm trying to create, it's like a spherical world, and generating a bunch of flat oceans doesn't work on that, bro. And using edible meshes would work much better than the mesh from Blender and the triangles. What I'm trying to say is that Roblox came in clutch, bro, with this new system. Yo, they cooking, bro. I'm just saying, bro, they cooking. When I succeeded getting the edible mesh working on a 2D plane, then I tried getting it working on a 3D sphere, and this is how it went. Man, this is why I hate coding using Roblox. How is this able to form stars, bro? Explain. I'm being quite honest with you. I just felt like scrapping the idea, because how does this happen, man? I hear about bugs, but like this takes it to a whole new level. But after a whole lot of trial and error, things were pretty much starting to take shape, but it isn't exactly what I want. But at least it's heading towards the right direction. This to me was like, out of all of them, one of the most funniest and surprising outcomes I ever seen, because this was definitely not intentional at all. I don't even know how I came up to this, but just weird, man. That's like the most surprising, weirdest outcome of code, the most weirdest bug I ever seen. And after that, it just went all downhill. So I just took a completely different approach and went with triangles, using triangles instead of edible meshes, since that method was around for far longer than edible meshes, and I would rather just get the planet done with and get like a prototype and see where I'm heading, instead of just trying the hardest thing at first and postponing it later, procrastination. Alright, now this is the code for version 1 of the planet, and for you to get the ocean too, all you have to do is duplicate the code into a different script and change the color to blue. Now, I will not be putting this code into the comments or the description. I don't want you guys to do it too, because I want you guys to go through that difficulty and actually learn something. for version 2 of the planet, I'll just create a Patreon and then just give it to the Patreon members if you guys become one. And the version 2 is way harder than this one, because version 1 actually only took me 1 week. I know that seems a long time, but trying to understand everything took me a week for me to comprehend and fully understand everything. But version 2 took me 2 months. 2 entire months for me to understand the marching cubes, because you have to use that algorithm to create complex terrain and all the noise values like simplex noise, octaves, and all that stuff. And that was extremely difficult, not gonna lie, extremely difficult for me to fully understand it and actually integrate it into my code. So without further ado, I just want you guys to just relax, lay back, and watch the peaceful music. How do you watch music? I mean, I would like you guys to watch a peaceful video and listen to some relaxing music. Oh yeah, and this was when I tried to create my own cave system, but the idea just completely backfired and never worked. So I might just pick up on the idea later on as I progress through the devlogs. This is the water system or water ripple system that I developed that's way better than Gershon waves and way better than any other wave ever made in Roblox. And it uses triangles, but intentionally I wanted to use edible meshes, but you know, learning edible meshes is hard itself, so I just tested it out using triangles, and then I'm gonna implement it to the edible meshes once I've truly figured it out. If you add some scrolling water noise on top of it, it'll make it look much more realistic, and then you turn on the transparency and boom, realistic water. But it doesn't look realistic yet since you can see the sharp shades, and edible meshes just makes it much smoother and less laggy. This is a script that makes the 2D flat world into a 3D sphere, and basically I've been having like a struggle for me to try to turn this into a sphere, and I was so mad because all I had to do was change at least, what was it, like 10 lines of code for it to, because all I needed to do was edit the magnitude of the world and boom, planet. I mean, how I put it was like a very, very simplistic way of saying it, because it's like the whole thing was a couple thousand lines of code. But after I done that, it gave me like a half world. That was like the huge bug of that. And then it took me like 2 weeks for me to figure out the other problem. And boom, a full spherical planet. And I was so happy, man, because it took me at least 2 whole months for me to complete the whole code, having the level of detail system. Like when you get far away, it's low poly. When you close, it's high poly. Like, it was so freaking hard, but like in the end, it was all possible because of some help I had on Discord servers and ChatGPT. On the next video, I'll try to implement gravity and adding like different type of biomes like trees, rocks, and all that stuff, especially implementing the water system onto the planet. I don't know how I'll do that, but I'll try to find ways. And essentially try to use edible meshes instead of triangles to make it much more um, less data costs, if you know what I mean, like use less memory on the computer or phone if you're using a phone. But thank you for watching the video. Please, I beg, bro, like and subscribe. It took me months for me to make this video. I mean, it looks very small, but like the amount of footage and the process of this took me months. So please like and subscribe and share this video to your families, bro. Please, I beg. Please.